Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, the perfect Las Vegas Raiders 2024 mock draft. I did this one on PFF Mock Draft Simulator, which all of y'all can please go ahead and do so. If you take time out of your day to watch my mock draft, guess what? If you want to send me yours, whether it is on Instagram, whether it is on Twitter at MitchellRentz365, please do not be afraid to do that. So my plan here for today's mock draft was I wasn't going to do any trades, and that's my honest-to-God opinion. But I can't sit up here and yell at Josh McDaniels for not being able to make in-game adjustments when things go a certain way, and then when I do a mock draft, to not make an in-game adjustment during the mock. So I'm going to tell you this right now. I did not plan on doing any trades today, but based off of the way that this mock ended up falling, I had to get a little creative. Now, with comp picks that could potentially happen, the numbers that are a little bit past like round 4, those numbers could change. But what's really important to know, as it stands right now, the Raiders have 9 picks, 3 in the 7th, and then 1 pick in each of the rounds leading up to that. With the mock that ended up falling was this: Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Nabers, Cooper, DeJean, Jer'Zhan Newton. And here's the thing, man. I really think if the Atlanta Falcons don't have a quarterback, they probably would have went QB here. And in this scenario, maybe, just maybe, they have Justin Fields, because it looks like the Chicago Bears, they just fired a whole bunch of people. They're going to keep their head coach, which to me screams that, hey, we're going to draft a quarterback. We're going to move on from somebody. And I think the number one team most likely not named the Raiders to trade for Justin Fields is, in fact, the Atlanta Falcons. So let's just say for this mock draft, they have Justin Fields. They don't need a QB. I was able to trade up to get to the 8th overall pick. I really tried to do 13 and 77. They said no to it, and I did not want to miss my opportunity to get the quarterback of the future here for the Raiders. And the fact that we just had to swap first-round picks, I had to give my second pick, sure, at 44 overall, which I didn't really want to do, but to get a franchise quarterback, I'm on board. So let me know down below who wins this trade. If you think it's the Las Vegas Raiders, I want you to type LV. If you think it's the Atlanta Falcons, type ATL. I mean, for their standpoint, they got good value. From my standpoint, I believe I am the clear winner because I was able to go up and get a franchise quarterback, a quarterback that I have said before that I'd be willing to trade up into the top 3 for, the Heisman Trophy winner, Jayden Daniels out of LSU. The more and more tape I watch in this guy, it just reminds me of the notes that I have written down on Lamar Jackson when I saw everybody say, hey, Lamar Jackson's not going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. I saw a lot of people say Jayden Daniels not going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. But when you watch this guy play, he's the best player on the field. He's a game changer. He's a difference maker. And you have to give this young man a lot of credit for how much of a better passer he has gotten in one season. And if he continues to grow the way he's doing, he has legit top 5 quarterback upside, which I don't think nearly enough people realize. For Jayden Daniels, though, also, he had 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, won the Heisman Trophy. But, man, it's what he can do with his legs. It's unbelievable, and his stock is going to continue to rise and rise, especially during the NFL Combine. I mean, if you can find a quarterback that had over 1,000 rushing yards in the SEC, 10 touchdowns, but then rushing is great and all, right? Like, he has the legs. You can make him a dual-threat quarterback. He has the ability to sit back in the pocket, and I think one of my favorite things about Jayden Daniels is he has a good deep ball. It's not often that you can find a quarterback with his athletic ability that has the deep ball that Jayden Daniels has, and on top of that, he was in the locker room week 18, that final week. He's good friends with Antonio Pierce, gave AP a shout-out during his Heisman Trophy candidacy. Let's just say this, if Antonio Pierce, the head coach, is going to be the most likely option to be the Raiders quarterback next season. That's just my opinion. If you're looking for mock drafts, though, all off season long, this is our first one with pick 13, and we're going to continue to add more and more mock drafts. I'm telling you this right now. I am going to do 10, 20, I don't even know how many mock drafts. Probably one almost about every single week here on this channel. So if you want more Raiders draft content, hit that subscribe button right now. All right, so I got Jayden Daniels here at number 8. No pick number 44 because I traded it away, which now means let's go to round 3, pick 77. I'm going to go with the top offensive guard that was on the board here out of UConn, Christian Haynes. And he's a right guard, which I was kind of looking for in this draft because the way that I forecast the Raiders' offensive line to look, I mean, you're going to have Colton Miller back. You're going to have Dylan Parham. After that, though, your whole right side of your offensive line is a little bit of a question mark. Andre James is a free agent. Greg Van Roten is a free agent. Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent. I do anticipate that the Raiders try to bring back one, if not both, of Illuminor and Andre James. You're probably going to let Greg Van Roten go at age 34. So that means then you could bring in Christian Haynes, who is a really good all-around offensive lineman. I know some of y'all are like, hey, he's from UConn. I'm telling you, go watch the tape. Good, really good feet, which is sometimes one of the top things I look for, especially in an interior offensive lineman. And if I'm going to take a quarterback like Jayden, I got to make sure that he has a great offensive line. Christian Haynes, Jayden Daniels. Let's go now to round 4. I'm going to go with the running back position here, which when I did this mock draft, again, I don't know who the head coach is. I don't know who the general manager is. I'm just going to anticipate that it's Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham are back. I'm going to try to build that offensive side of the football. With this move, though, you're not going to keep Josh Jacobs. You're going to roll with Donovan Edwards, the running back out of Michigan. He's going to be the Lightning to Zamir White's Thunder. I don't think that Zamir is a bell cow back. I wouldn't want to give him 20 carries in one game, but let's just say you're trying to run the ball 20 times in one game. You can give the ball to 13 times, 14 times to Zeus, and then you give it to 7-6 with Edwards, and you saw in the national championship game his ability to take one to the house. He's got legit speed. He might not run the best 40 time at the combine, but this is a dude that is football fast. And the comp that I'm going to throw out there, not so much in terms of the way they play, but in the NFL combine. Go look at what Dalvin Cook did at the combine. He had a horrible combine. Everybody was freaking out, myself included. But then guess what? You put pads on him, he's football fast. And I care a lot more about football fast than I do combine fast. Now, we already got 3 picks here on the board, and I got to tell you about our brand new sponsor, Mando. And I'm just going to be frank with y'all. I know I wear a lot of black jerseys on here. It is the silver and black after all. I sweat. I sweat when I eat. I sweat all the time. And when I have date night with my fiance, Alex, it's the number one thing I'm always worried about. I don't want to sweat through my clothes and have everybody staring at my pits because, hey, my eyes are up here. But how many times have you heard someone say, New Year's, new me? Now, how many times have you heard someone say, New Year, no stink? That is what Mando is all about. From the makers of Lume Deodorant, Mando is here to make sure 2024 is the year you showcase your best hygiene. If you suffer from stinky feet, pits, or below the belt, then Mando's doctor-developed and clinically proven odor blocker is worth giving a shot. A new customer can get $5 off a starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. You don't want to smell like that smelly guy at work who doesn't believe in deodorant, so ditch the stink and get it with Mando today. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help the nation get started, and I want you all to smell great. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates over 40% off your starter pack, so use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. So nation, no more excuses to smell. I don't want to smell y'all, right? If we hang out in Las Vegas, maybe during the Super Bowl, I don't know. All I want you to know is this. She's going to like it, and studies show if she likes the way you smell, you got a better chance. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Mando for hooking up Raider Nation. Remember, link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. One thing that really gets it going here, Mando makes the heart grow fonder because you smell better, Jeremy, which is exactly why round 5, 149, I'm going to go Cam Hart here, cornerback out of Notre Dame. I do think that Hart can develop into be a solid corner. He's not going to blow you away with like anything crazy in terms of athletic ability. Really smart, intelligent player, but he is 6'2", 200 pounds. And in round 5, I was kind of looking for a smart replacement because if it was up to me, I cut Brandon Facyson. You save $3.3 million. And when the Raiders added Facyson to that secondary, I think they were looking for a bigger, a more physical corner. And that's kind of what Cam Hart's going to be able to bring to the table. So the way I look at it is, yeah, Brandon Facyson might be a better corner right now. He probably is. But the way I forecast it is, I can save about $2.5 million by going with another corner like Cam Hart. Like, I want to see Sam Webb get more reps next season. I'm hoping that the Raiders bring back a MICH. I'm hoping that you give an extension to Jack Jones. You already have Nate Hobbs. Like, this is a good cornerback room. A very underappreciated cornerback room is probably how I should put it. So you have and Cam Hart. That's your Brandon Facyson replacement. Let's go to round 6 now, pick 204. And at this point in my mocks, I look for good locker room guys. I look for depth. I look for special teams. That's really what I'm trying to find here. And I don't think that Michael Barrett falls to me in round 6, and I don't think this is where he actually goes. But he's one of the leaders there on that Michigan defense in the middle linebacker position. He's a run stopper, and he is a little bit undersized in terms of height, but dude knows how to hit. 65 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 PBUs, 3 forced fumbles. Not very good in terms of coverage, I'll tell you that right now. But I do believe that he has the opportunity to go in there and compete with a guy like Amari Burney, right? Like, what's going to happen to Luke Masterson? He's played well. I anticipate him to make this roster. But one of the things that we're going to have to talk about is we're going to have to talk about what this new room's going to look like. And if you keep Antonio Pierce, the linebackers coach, the old linebackers coach, I think he's going to want to bring in somebody like Barrett, who I don't want to say reminds him of himself, but the way Antonio Pierce first played when he was a UDFA compared to the way Barrett plays, I do think it's pretty similar. So as it stands right now, there's a lot of needs, right? Some of y'all are going to be like, Mitch, we need a head coach. That's the biggest need. I hear you. But what's the biggest need for the NFL draft? Free agency is going to happen. But if the draft was today, January 11th, what is the biggest need for the silver and black? All right, let's go now to round 7. I got 3 picks in here. And in my very first mock draft that I did, which was probably about a month and a half ago when the Raiders were picking at 6, I ended up taking Miles Frazier, offensive guard out of LSU. And this time I'm going to get him basically in the same spot. This one's at 220. And everything that I said in that previous video is probably what I'm about to say here as well. I got Jayden Daniels. I want Jayden Daniels to be able to work with somebody that he's familiar with. On top of that, Frazier is a big boy. 6'6", 323 pounds. I'm hoping that the Raiders are able to retain Carmen Bracillo. He's a good offensive line coach, though the New York Giants are going to be interviewing him to be their potential offensive line coach. They could be forecasting that maybe the Raiders are going to be moving on from some coaches. But I grew up on the East Coast. Went to college really close to Camden, New Jersey. I'm telling you this right now. Camden, New Jersey, you got to have a Raider mentality to make it in Camden. Goes down to LSU, doesn't do anything special. But again, I want to be able to find extra depth, a big body. He's a big man of clay, and I would like to have Carmen Bracillo work with a lot of big guys on my offensive line to build a little bit more depth here. Let's go to round 7, pick 224, Evan Anderson, the defensive tackle out of FAU. And everything that I just said about Carmen Bracillo is I have enough confidence in this coaching staff. I have enough confidence in especially a lot of the skill position coaches. I have the utmost confidence in Rob Leonard. He's one of the best in the biz at the defensive line, and he was able to show that. And one of the things that I think the Raiders are looking for this season, especially near the end, if you remember, they signed Marquand McCall, who's a 380-pound defensive tackle. It was reported that he did lose a little bit of weight. He's probably around 365. So to me, the Raiders might be looking for that big guy, that big anchor, especially because Nesta Jade Silvera hasn't quite panned out. He's still got some time to learn. Matthew Butler quite hasn't panned out yet. But at 6'3", 360 pounds, that's a big boy. I can get him in the 7th round, has some playing experience down there at FAU. The final pick, though, in my Raiders mock draft, I'm going to go Joshua Gray, offensive tackle out of Oregon State. Now, he's undersized at 6'4", 305 pounds, and the 305 pounds, that might even be generous. He might be under 300, which if he's 6'4" and he's under 300, you're talking about bottom 15th percentile for size at the offensive tackle position. The reason why I'm going to go with Gray here, though, is maybe you decide to kick him in as an offensive guard, potentially. But the reason why I like him is he might be one of the only offensive linemen that doesn't go... he might be one of the only offensive linemen that runs a 40-yard dash under 5. He's going to be really close. He's in that 90th percentile for speed. And some of y'all here, when you see 40-yard dash times for receivers, running backs, corners, it's 4.3s, 4.4, right? That's what you look for. If you can find an offensive lineman, a man that is 6'4", 300 pounds, and he runs under a 5, that's special. Joshua Gray has the chance. And if that happens, I think that actually his draft stock might rise a little bit. So here is my 2024 mock draft. Again, I did not plan on making a trade, but in life, sometimes you got to be fluid. You got to be able to make adjustments. And I think good head coaches, good general managers would do the exact same thing, which is why I decided to do it here. So Jayden Daniels at quarterback. I traded my number 13 pick and number 44 to go up and get him. Christian Hayes, the offensive guard out of UConn. Donovan Edwards, running back at Michigan, to pair him with Zamir. Cam Hart at corner, my replacement for Brandon Faison. Michael Barrett, nice little linebacker, maybe Antonio Pierce, Look-alike? Who knows? Miles Frazier, Evan Anderson, Joshua Gray. That is how I am going to round out my 2024 mock draft, and I base this mock on the Raiders keeping Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, so I really tried to focus on the offensive side of the football. If you retain those two, and you're able to retain, Simmons, Rob Leonard, you're able to retain the core pieces to this defense, there's no reason why we shouldn't have a top 10 defense yet again. But the offense needs to be able to figure it out here. So that's why I ended up doing what I did. But here's your opportunity to get your red pens out. Here's your opportunity to grill me. Or you can say, Mitch, hell of a job. A, B, C, D, or F. But I want you to be a tough grader. So A, excellent. B, good. C, average. D, bad. F, it was a fail. Anytime that you're able to get a franchise quarterback, I like this draft a lot. I called it a perfect mock draft for a reason. Some of y'all might agree, some of y'all might disagree, but I want to know. Grade my Raiders mock draft.